Hey, what's up? It's Chris here from Chris's Sci-Fi Reactions. Today we're back with another classic Who reaction. This is The Space Museum Part 1, The Space Museum. Last story really wasn't the best. Probably up there with the Sensorites in the way I like the story. In fact, it was pretty much the same. I enjoyed the first episode of the Sensorites and the first episode of the Web Planet, but pretty much didn't enjoy the rest. Yeah, it had some, especially in the last episode and episode 5, I found a bit few weird scenes, and I just didn't understand them. This is the Space Museum, as I said, so I'm hoping this story is better. I guess we'll just have to wait and see, and I don't think there's much more. The full uncut unedited reaction is available on Patreon. When this goes on YouTube, you should be able to get the Chase Part 2, I believe. So yeah, without further ado, let's just get straight on into this episode. I'm guessing this is the story or at least the end of the last story, which is missing. Wait, weren't they in other clothes? They could do with this machine in the new TARDIS, although Jodie's TARDIS sort of had that thing at the console that gave her a biscuit when she got her new TARDIS. What the...
Well, the scanner's functioning. Looks like desert to me.
Oh, look! Spaceships! It's so quiet.
It's funny having a TV scanner that's, like, not on the console. Although, again, going back to Jodie's TARDIS, her sort of screens are on the
Maybe it's a dumping
walls.
ground. No, I don't think so, my boy, no. No, all those things up there come from
Although
distant
in
periods.
the latest season, she had some sort of display
What do you make of that, Doctor?
I'm
on
afraid I can't give
her
you any
console.
answers here, my dear. If you take a closer look at those objects, you'll see that some of them are more advanced in design. It's quite a natural progression.
Well, someone must be in charge of them.
Yes, we shall find that out. And I'm sure you will agree with me there are several things that...
I remember sort of when I was in London in January 2020, went to the the Science Museum in London, and they had an entire section on space, which I absolutely loved going to. Hopefully, when we can travel again, I'll be able to go back.
Dust everywhere. Maybe you were right about it. Then why aren't we leaving any footprints?
That's a little unusual.
Yes, that's curious, isn't it? Yeah. Very curious.
extraordinary building.
Yes. This looks like the only door.
Bit of an
No windows
interesting
either.
design on the side.
Well, we certainly haven't met anyone yet. Hmm?
Maybe there isn't any.
That's often what I do when I'm gonna sneeze. So- no, what are they deaf?
Sorry, it just came out.
Do they like
Right, Vicky.
hunt,
They didn't hear it.
or they
Well,
hear
only a
by
few feet
vibration?
away.
No.
It's extremely doubtful that they were both deaf. However, the fact is they didn't hear. Now, let's see what's in here.
I'm really enjoying this episode.
Oh, there aren't any windows.
No, I think there's probably something in the atmosphere that has a very
Looks static. Right,
So
so
that's what a Dalek looks like.
Don't touch now.
What do you know about them, Vicky? Only what I've read in history books that they invaded Earth about 300 years ago, was it?
We were there, Vicky. That was one of the periods we visited.
I don't mind admitting, my boy, that thing gave me a start. Coming face
yeah,
to face to it again.
that's right, the Doctor.
A bit the way I imagined it. Oh, I mean, the books described them all right, but... Well, this one looks quite friendly.
Yeah,
You
it's
wouldn't
like
say
that.
young lady, if ever we meet them again.
Absolutely.
Which, to say the least, is very unlikely. I hope.
I hope. I wonder if that's foreshadowing. Or if it's just, you know, just a random line, or if it's a foreshadowing to the future.
They said.
No. Perhaps they have some other means of communication, you know, on a very high frequency. No?
Right, ultrasonic communication
I
could
don't
be.
know. Chesterton might have had the answer in what he just said, but I doubt it. I doubt it. Come on, come on.
I love the mystery of this episode.
Well,
Well, there is something there, isn't there? I mean, we can all see it, can't we? Yes, of course we can, Vicky.
It's strange, strange indeed. Do you know there must be a logical explanation for this somewhere? You know, I think it's just a matter of putting two and two together to make three.
Look.
You know, that is
Oh, quick, let's hide. Well, where can we hide? Doctor, what should we do?
nothing. Absolutely nothing. Just stand exactly where we are.
Are they like seeing the future but before it happens?
what do you make of that?
But I've never known anything in
And
my...
they're sort of like
my
still
life,
in the
in all my
TARDIS
years
but
of time
projecting,
travelling,
you know, like astral projection into the future.
Utterly unbelievable.
And he was talking. His lips were moving.
Yes.
Beginning to think the doctor's wrong.
Oh?
Well, how can we find the answer in here?
I have no idea, my child, but until I say otherwise, we continue the search. Now, let's see what's in here. Hmm?
Oh, same as all the others, I suppose.
Good gracious me.
TARDIS.
Well, how did that get in here?
Oh, what a...
We must have arrived here in the TARDIS sometime. Are we here? Hmm? Look.
Oh, that's creepy.
That's us. That's not models or pictures.
If I was them looking at myself like
Yeah.
that, I'd be so creeped
Exhibits in
out.
a space museum.
Can you explain it, Doctor? See?
Oh, yes, they can. Oh, yes, they can see us. Where we really are. There.
Is there any way of getting out of this, Doctor?
Well, my dear, I suppose we got into it. There must be. You know, I don't mind
So this will
admitting I've always
really
found it
explore the
extremely
idea
difficult
of
to solve
changing the
fourth dimension.
future.
And here we are, face to face with the fourth dimension.
I see. I think.
But nothing has happened to us yet. What we are doing now is taking a glimpse into the future, or what might be or could be the future.
Yeah,
All that
I'm
we've
going
done
to really find
is
this
still yet to come.
story
Dr. Van,
interesting,
why
I
don't we
think.
go and find the TARDIS, the real one, I mean, and get into it and get out of here now?
And end up one day, my dear, like that? No, we must not. We've got to stop it happening.
Doctor, when will we arrive?
Happening, I can feel it. They've gone.
Yes, my dear. And we've arrived.
Okay, that was the Space Museum Part 1, the Space Museum. I really enjoyed that episode. That may have been my favourite episode since I started Classic Who. Without a doubt, it was brilliant, excellent. It had me constantly wanting to watch and not just turn away. Yeah, I think without a doubt this is my favourite episode so far. Obviously I can't say whether it's my favourite story or not so far until I finish this story, but I absolutely loved this episode and it is up there. It is top quality. Now, as you know, I don't really score the episodes, but I'd certainly give it a very high 9, maybe even a 10 if I was scoring an individual episode. Yeah, I mean, we sort of got introduced to this idea of the fourth dimension, sort of seeing the future before it happens. They're very much ghosts of the future, and they retain that knowledge when they come back into our dimension. And I think the ideas behind this were done well and executed well in this episode, and I very much will be looking forward to seeing how this story develops. Now, that being said, the Web Planet, the first episode was great, and then the story just went downhill. I'm hoping that doesn't happen here. But certainly, yeah, this episode, Vicky very much touching something in the museums, very much like me. When I was younger, I'd always go into the museum and have to touch everything in there, and would always find myself in trouble. But yeah, I was trying to think if there's anything else before I break it down. No, I don't think so. Obviously, Vicky breaking the glass, coming back, all has to do with the fourth dimension and very much the idea of astral projection or ghosts of the future. Yeah, so I'm guessing this is sort of a similar principle to that of people who say, like, that were in surgery or something and say they were found themselves looking over their own body. It's the same sort of principle, astral projection, and they call it fourth dimension. Very interesting, and I think now that we're back in our dimension, the story can really develop really well. It was nice seeing a Dalek. Obviously, Vicky thinks of him as very friendly. Yeah. So, I mean, we had that Dalek, which was good in when the Doctor and Clara became small and went through that Dalek and Twice Upon a Time, but yeah, Vicky obviously sees the Daleks as looking very friendly. But let's break it down anyway. So we start off, we're here in the TARDIS in clothes, which were from the 13th century, obviously part of the last episode that we had, which I can't remember what it was called. Oh, no, I can't think of what it was called. I did read what it was, but not sure. They land here on this planet. Their clothes are their normal clothes, and they have no memory of changing. The Doctor really doesn't know, but he just shrugs it off as, oh yeah, it's time and space, relative dimensions. Vicky goes and checks to see if the clothes are there. They are. She also goes to get the Doctor a drink of water, of which she then drops the glass and it comes back in her hand fully. I find this machine, the one that was seen in the Daleks and the Edge of Destruction, that can make water and any food, I think that's a good idea. That's very much enjoy that. As I said in the episode, if you're on YouTube, that may not be part of the reaction, but Jodie obviously had something similar on the TARDIS console. You know, when in that first episode that we saw the TARDIS, the Ghost Monument, I think it was, and we saw her new TARDIS, that was, gave her a biscuit, I think it was. Was it a biscuit or a cracker? One of them. So that was a bit similar, but we haven't really seen that since that episode. Then we have the Doctor saying, oh yeah, let's go out, have a look. Ian and Barbara very much really, you're noticing they're a bit excited and wanting to do that as well, which is a real big change from the first series and even the beginning of this series. The Doctor is told by Vicky that the glass sort of came back to himself. The Doctor, I don't think, really believes her, but she's, you know, I think he's humouring her a bit, which isn't the nicest thing to do, and I'm sure Vicky would be a bit frustrated by that. Ian and Barbara, I think, had more belief that she was telling the truth. We find that it's basically very much like a desert. Also, we see that they're leaving no footprints, which the Doctor finds a bit curious. They come over to this building that was seen on the scanner, and Barbara brings up an interesting point, that it was so quiet that there was no sounds at all. It was very much a silence you could almost hear, as she said. Then these guys come out of the building. They try to hide. Vicky ends up sneezing. Yeah. Then they're a little curious of why they didn't hear. Here they're in the museum. Vicky says, oh, there's no people around saying don't touch anything. Something that I always used to do in museums. Then they see some people, they're introduced, they find a Dalek. Vicky thinks they're quite friendly. Ian says it's highly unlikely we'll ever see the Daleks again. Whether that's foreshadowing, I don't know. I don't think we may not see the Daleks till next series, which makes me feel that Ian and Barbara ain't gonna see the Daleks again. Maybe the next companions, whenever they come along. You know, I'd like to see Ian and Barbara stay for the rest of the First Doctor, and I would like to see him meet the Daleks again. But yeah, just don't know how that's going to go. Anyway, these people were talking, they couldn't hear them. They go exploring the museum more. Vicky finds that she can put her hand straight through this museum piece. Obviously the Doctor's quite ticked off that she touched something. Yeah, so then these other people come along and they try and hide, but they can't, but they just didn't see him, and Ian comes to the conclusion that they're invisible. The Doctor says maybe we're not really here, which gave me sort of a bit of vibe of the Dream Lord from Doctor Who. That gave me a bit of vibes from that maybe this was just a dream inside the TARDIS. And since, you know, the difference between them wearing the clothes, that maybe they fell asleep and it was something like that. But obviously that wasn't the case. Found the TARDIS is in the museum, but we just go straight through the TARDIS, can't get into it. Vicky starts to realise that it's a dimension, that they're not in their dimension, that they're in the fourth dimension, I think the Doctor mentioned. And over there, you know, they're completely frozen, they're seeing a glimpse of the future, or a possible future, which is interesting. It will be interesting to see how they address these possible future issues. If I was looking at frozen copy of myself, I'd be frickin' freaked out, as Barbara is. So then Ian's like, when will we arrive? And then we start to arrive and the footprints appear, the TARDIS becomes visible, and they feel the temperature changing, and then the cases disappear and they arrive. Okay, so that was my breakdown of the Space Museum Part 1. Probably my favourite episode of the entire series so far that I've seen since starting Classic Who. Yeah, I don't think there's much more to be said. Looking forward to the next episode. Remember, the link to Patreon will be in the description below, as well as my Twitter and Facebook account. If you enjoyed this reaction, don't forget to give it a like, share and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye.